The one thing you want to avoid in the Royal Rumble is being eliminated. This is something I've learned from watching about 40 of them. While staying in the ring is the name of the game and a way to punch your ticket to WrestleMania, some bonebenders have nonetheless been more than happy to eliminate themselves from the match for various reasons. More than happy, or just plain thick enough anyway. But before we start, an honourable mention has to go to Mr. Pat McAfee for his self-elimination in the 2024 Rumble. To be fair, I wouldn't fancy my chances against Bron Breakker and Omos either. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 wrestlers who eliminated themselves from the Royal Rumble. Join us! Number 10, Andre the Giant in 1989. Andre the Giant had quite the track record when it came to winning Battle Royals, triumphing in literally hundreds of them during his career. He didn't have the same success when it came to the Royal Rumble, however. Things were looking good for the 8th wonder of the world in the first of his 2 Rumble appearances in 1989. Entering at number 3, Andre got rid of Smash, Ronnie Garvin, and Jake the Snake Roberts in the early going, and was looking mighty dominant. Well, before that big sore loser Jake Roberts came back into the ring carrying his favourite pets, that is. It had already been established that Andre was frightened of the massive snake, so at the very sight of Damien, he decided he would rather throw himself over the top rope than risk getting bit. This was a clever elimination, as it was not only a creative way to get the Giant out of the match, but also continued the dispute between him and Roberts, who, it must be said, had really no reason to go after Andre the way he did, since he had just been simply overpowered and eliminated fairly. Number 9, Ahmed Johnson in 1997. There must have been something in the San Antonio, Texas water in January of 1997, because not 1, not 2, but 3 wrestlers ended up eliminating themselves from the Royal Rumble. The first to do so was Ahmed Johnson, a man who, as impressive a physical specimen as he may have been, could never be accused of being the sharpest chisel in the toolbox. Ahmed was pulling double duty on the night, first clashing with the Nation of Domination's Faarooq in an undercard blow-off bout that was months in the making and probably happened months too late. Regrettably, the match sucked and had a bad finish to boot, with other Nation members running in for the DQ. Ahmed drew number 2 in the Rumble and eliminated fake Razor Ramon when Faarooq sauntered back out for another piece. Rather than, say, sliding under the bottom rope and giving chase, the Pearl River powerhouse thought the thing to do was hop directly over the top rope to the floor below. Muppets. I often wonder if Ahmed Johnson ever got the Pringles tube stuck in his hand reaching for the ones at the bottom rather than just tipping it upside down. Number 8, Faarooq in 1997. After eliminating himself and then running off his future stablemate, fans may have assumed that Ahmed's night was over. But when Faarooq entered the Rumble fray at number 18, there was simply no chance that Johnson was through in his pursuit of vengeance. Faarooq had just enough time to dump Latin Lover out when Ahmed ran back out brandishing a 2x4. Not only did this wake the crowd up some, as the match had hit a bit of a lull by this point, but it sent the Nation leader into a panic. As Johnson wailed away with the wood, Faarooq decided the best course of action would be to jump over the top rope and out of harm's way. Again, why he didn't just simply slide under the bottom rope, or hell, even between the middle and top ropes, is beyond me. The announcers tried to play it off like it was Johnson who eliminated Faarooq, and while he was certainly responsible in a way, Ron Simmons clearly threw his damn self over the top. Number 7, Mil Mascaras in 1997. In between Ahmed and then Faarooq eliminating themselves from the Rumble match, the legendary Mil Mascaras made sure he wouldn't make it to the main event of WrestleMania. And in some style too. Mascaras was one of 10 luchadors on the pay-per-view thanks to WWE's working relationship with Mexican promotion AAA. One of the 4 from the delegation to be in the Rumble match, the Man of 1,000 Masks teamed up with Pierroth to eliminate Cibernetico before bundling Pierroth over the top rope moments later. Then, in an unprecedented move, Mascaras climbed to the top turnbuckle and launched himself to the outside at his cohorts with a big dive. Mascaras then got back in the ring before ringside officials quickly informed him that he was done for the evening. The commentary team played it off like he was overzealous and made a tactical error in his first and only Rumble, but the reality is the masked man's ego wouldn't allow him to be thrown out by anyone. So yeah, just make yourself look a bit of a stupid dickhead instead then, mate. That's much better, isn't it? Number 6, Kane in 1999. Kane is one of the most dominant WWE stars in Royal Rumble history, because despite never actually winning the thing, he holds numerous Rumble records. In 2001, he set a then record for most eliminations in a single match with 11, the same year he finished as runner-up to Stone Cold Steve Austin. In 2009, he recorded the fastest elimination in Rumble history when he got rid of Santino Marella in 1 second. And as far as overall records, he holds them for most Rumble appearances, 20, and most career eliminations, 46. A glittering Rumble resume, perhaps, but the Big Red Machine didn't even look like he knew what the rules were when he made his Royal Rumble debut in the 1999 edition of the match. Coming in at number 18, Kane got rid of the Road Dogg, Kurgan, the Godfather, and Goldust in short order, before eliminating himself when some asylum workers in white coats came into the ring in an attempt to commit him on behalf of Vince McMahon. Rather than being hauled off to the loony bin, the Devil's favorite demon simply took off through the crowd instead. Number 5, Drew Carey in 2001. The 2001 Royal Rumble pay-per-view was an all-timer, featuring a great tag team title opener, a ridiculously good intercontinental title ladder match, a damn fine world title match, and one of the better and more memorable Rumbles in history. It wasn't perfect, mind, with the women's title bout and lamentable post-match angle lowering the tone considerably. Also, Drew Carey. The future WWE Hall of Famer was on hand to promote the upcoming live Improv All-Stars special and got inserted into the titular match after Vince McMahon caught him talking to Trish Stratus backstage. Drew, who apparently replaced the luckless Lowdown, drew number 5 and hung around waiting for the Hardys to eliminate each other, leaving him all on his Todd. Then the buzzer went off and Kane emerged at number 6. Drew was screwed, and he knew it, opting to throw himself over the top rope after a pitiful attempt at a bribe failed to convince the mask-wearing pyromaniac to leave him the hell alone. Number 4, Mick Foley in 2004. The 2004 Royal Rumble was another in a series of noteworthy performances from Randy Orton. Rising quickly up the ranks as a member of Evolution, Randy entered the match at number 2 and lasted a not inconsiderate 33 minutes and 44 seconds. In that time, he managed to get rid of Rikishi, Booker T, Shelton Benjamin, Ernest Miller, and Rico, and looked like a dark horse for a potential winner. But the Legend Killer's role was halted by the arrival of a man who wasn't even officially entered into the match. Test was the originally scheduled 21st entrant, but was shown lying unconscious backstage, seemingly the victim of an ambush. Raw Sheriff Steve Austin told the supposed perpetrator, who was off camera, to get his backside out there instead. Cue Mick Foley, who had walked out on the December 15th, 2003 edition of Raw after bottling a match with Orton, who then spat in his face, hitting the ring intent on getting even with the then Intercontinental Champion. After a flurry of offense, the hardcore legend took himself and his foe over the top with a cactus clothesline, eliminating them both. Number 3, MVP in 2010. The wrestler comes back for revenge and eliminates himself and his enemy trope resurfaced in the 2010 Royal Rumble. Only this time it didn't have quite the sheer intensity of Foley and Orton's brief but spirited scrap from 7 years prior. In the show's second match, The Miz retained his United States title by defeating MVP via small package as the former champ was getting back into the ring. Even though he lost fair and square, MVP felt fit to lay Miz out after the match. The Atlanta crowd rightly booed him for this unwarranted assault. Later, during the Rumble, Miz got retribution by hitting MVP with the title belt as Montel made his entrance at number 14. That wasn't the end of it, however, as the Awesome One came out at number 16 and had barely gotten into the ring before MVP re-emerged and took them both out of the match with a clothesline. A nice conclusion to a show-long mid-card storyline, it's nonetheless a moment that tends to be glossed over from a Rumble that was full of bigger ones. Number 2, Matt Hardy in 2018. The face-to-face confrontation between Bray Wyatt and Woken Matt Hardy in the 2018 Royal Rumble match could have been a lot more epic than it actually ended up being. You know, had WWE not booked Bray to easily beat Matt on Raw 25 just 6 days earlier. Oh well. The Eater of Worlds entered the match at number 8 and scored one elimination by himself on poor Heath Slater, who was beaten up by Bray and various others in the entranceway when Matt teamed up to eliminate Rusev, drawing a big heel reaction. They started scrapping overlapping with one another. That ended in a draw, I guess, as Hardy happened to eliminate Wyatt and himself. The announcers tried to claim that both men eliminated each other, but if you actually watch the footage, it's very clear that Matt pushes Bray over the top and his momentum carries him over. And I would know, since I sent every possible angle to NASA and asked them to conclusively examine it for me. Best 12 grand I ever spent. Number 1, Santina Marella in 2020. Though the Royal Rumble is a big-time match with serious stakes, the occasional comedy spot can work wonders. Think of the honky-tonk man getting his guitar smashed over his head by Kane, the Hurricane attempting a double chokeslam on Triple H and Steve Austin, or R-Truth getting his gimmick matches wrong and pulling out a ladder to retrieve something that wasn't there. Great family fun. Not included in the conversation of funniest Rumble moments is the unwelcome return of Santina Marella in the 2020 Women's Royal Rumble match. Coming in at number 29, Santina was rejected by Beth Phoenix, who didn't fancy a Glamarella reunion. Santina then pulled out the Cobra, but thought better of trying to use it on either Phoenix or Natalya. No, the thing to do was to strike herself in the throat and then self-eliminate. This was not only a waste of a surprise appearance, but it didn't really work as a comedy spot and felt out of place so close to the end of the match. It might be a stretch, but I'm also willing to bet Santina's appearance here was somehow, directly or otherwise, responsible for the global pandemic just a couple of months later. There simply has to be a connection.